Hello. Good to see you all. Some of y'all may know we're doing a Hakomi training this weekend, and we have some members that are here participating in the training, and it's been wonderful. It's been a wonderful meeting, and the theme of the training is remembering our wholeness, and so that's what I'd like to offer today. And I'm going to weave a few things together, and then we'll do a guided visualization together, and we'll see where that goes. So I'd like to weave a few things, and then we'll do the guided visualization. Yeah, so talking about Hakomi just a little bit. So one of the principles of Hakomi is called loving presence, and part of this loving presence, well, really fundamental part is seeing the other person as a source of inspiration and seeing what we call seeing deeply, seeing them as they really are as a person. We say this as seeing the storyteller more than the story. And I think that's just really beautiful. And as I was reflecting on this and in the context of remembering our wholeness, I was kind of having the insight that this has to start with ourselves first. We can't see the wholeness in another person from a place of non-wholeness. So we have to really get clear with what is our own true nature before we can see it in another person. So I wanted to explore that a little bit, and from a couple different kind of viewpoints. So first, in our tradition, we talk about Buddha nature, Tathagata, and this refers to the inherent potential for wakefulness that we all have. So no matter who you are, no matter what your story is, no matter what your place is, where you live, you have this inherent potential for enlightenment that's just a part of who you are. And in the some of y'all may know I go to Naropa University currently, so I have a lot of influence from that lineage as well right now. And so in the Tibetan path, they talk about basic goodness, which is a similar concept, and refers to that everyone has an innate unconditional worthiness and wakefulness. And there's a t-shirt at one of the retreat centers I go to that says basically good. It's kind of how I see it. Like, we're basically good, no matter who you are. And so those things are very interrelated, I think. And then another thing that I've learned pretty recently, one of my recent intensives at Naropa, they have beautiful tankas and calligraphy and everything like we do here. And one symbol really grabbed my attention that I'd never seen before, and I wanted to share it with y'all because it feels relevant. And I'll hold it up here first, but I don't know if y'all have seen this. It's a Tibetan character from the Tibetan alphabet, I guess, called Ashe. And I don't know, just something about it. I saw it there on the wall and just grabbed me. And doing more conversation and research about it, it's actually kind of a fundamental principle of that path. And it's Ashe stands for first stroke. So A is first and She is stroke. And it reminds me of that exactly. I don't know if y'all can see that, you probably can't see it, but there's a Kaz Tanahashi calligraphy called One that's like this, like that. Every time I enter the Zendo, I see that and I think about Ashe. And Ashe is, the calligraphy is first stroke, but it stands for primordial confidence. That word just grips me. And so I wanted to kind of weave these things together. What does primordial confidence mean? And to me, it's like, what is our really true nature? Like, what are we doing here? Like, who are we? And I thought about as I was sitting with this week, I was thinking about a river, because a river just knows how to flow. It has a confidence. It doesn't worry about, am I going to make it around that corner, and those rocks or whatever. It just flows. It doesn't forget its basic nature. That's another way to think about it. It's in a constant state of remembering what it is. It's always in the present moment. And that was the part that really got me. I was like, it's always in the present moment. And that's where I can remember my primordial confidence and my basic goodness and my inherent wakefulness. And so as I reflected on that further, and so this concept of remembering our wholeness has another concept of forgetting, right? So sometimes we forget who we are. And so it takes practices, or it takes some effort sometimes to remember who we are. And reflecting on that further, how do we get to the present moment? There's another thing that Flint often references. This is from a 19th century Tibetan Buddhist teacher of the Dzogchen tradition. And he says, don't prolong the past. Don't invite the future. Don't fear appearances. Don't disturb your innate wakefulness. So someone asked this teacher, how can I awaken? And that was his answer. So if you think about, don't prolong the past, be here. Don't invite the future, be here. Don't fear appearances. Don't let our reactivity take us out of here. And don't disturb your innate wakefulness. Be here and remember who you are. And Flint also says, I'll often say, I want to be in this moment. And he says, where else could you be? We just forget. And so we have practices that help us remember who we are and what we are. And one of them is Zazen, of course. And another one is the breath. The breath is always in the present moment. And that's why it's such a wonderful way to come back to the moment. We don't talk about, man, I hope I have a great breath tomorrow. Or last week was the best breath. It's always now. So if you think about, how do you describe a breath? Yeah, and you're breathing. What is a breath? Try it for a minute. Just take some deep breaths. It's right now. That's why it's such a great way to connect with who we are. Yeah. So maybe let's have that be an invitation into the guided visualization I'd like to offer. So I'd like you to really connect with your breath, and I'll guide us. We'll see where this takes us together. So sit upright in your awareness of your dignity. You can close your eyes, or you can allow them to be heavily lidded. And then let's turn towards our breath and breathe deeply, filling your body with air. And exhale as it feels natural. Without needing to change anything, we're just noticing the breath. Noticing that we're in a body that's breathing. And I invite you to, alongside the breath, bring your awareness to your spine, strong and steady. Bringing your attention back to your breath, calm, unwavering. Can you bring your awareness to the bones in your body? Which are made from the minerals of the earth that created you. And can you have some awareness of the blood in your veins, which is rich with iron? Is the very same iron from the sun that warms you. And on the next inhale, can you sense the quiet presence of life, of the prana or the chi moving through you? And with the exhale, allowing the presence to flow from you back into the world. You carry the strength of those who came before you. You're part of a lineage that is unbroken. A lineage of life flowing through you, endlessly before and beyond you. You belong here. You belong here. Not because of what you do, what you achieve, but because you are. Life wanted you to be here, and so you are. As you breathe in, see if you can feel the support of the earth beneath you. As you breathe out, exhale your breath into the vastness of the sky above you. And as I invite you to continue following the breath, I'd like to speak these words, and feel free to speak these words within you. as I say them. I am the fire of the sun. I am the molten iron of the earth. I stand or I sit whole in my being. The breath of life flows through me. The wisdom of my ancestors live within me. And I would invite you to place your hands in prayer and bow to your life as it bows in return to you. Now I invite you to, when you're ready, look around on Zoom or in person. Look at the people around you. Maybe allow your attention to linger on a particular person for a moment. Really take them in. This person also has innate wakefulness, innate wholeness, basic goodness. Holding each other in this awareness of your own Buddha nature, seeing it in the others, seeing their Buddha nature, helps us to remember. This is what Sangha is. This is remembering our wholeness together. Thank you very much. And I just want to mention we have members from Awakening Together here.
What's Awakening Together?
It's one of our sister sanghas in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Yeah.
I figured it was probably one of those.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anybody have a question or?
I have a comment more than a question. I just really,
Louder.
I'm just very thankful for this concentration practice this morning, John Eric. This was so beautiful. I've had a very strange 12 hours or so. Some of you guys may know that I take care of my mom, and it's been a little much these last couple of hours. And I noticed how I was so affected. You know, I was kind of in this like wavering state. And there was a layer of like trying on top of it, like striving.
Mm-hmm.
And all for good reasons and stuff like that. But this just brought me back to the truth of what we all are. And I really want to say thank you for offering this morning.
Thank you. Kim.
So, yesterday or the day before, Jessica said that mindfulness was atypical. And when I hear things like that, you know, kind of declarative things, I always, you know, question them. And I remembered as I was sitting, a wonderful photographer who talked about the difference between looking and seeing. And he said, looking is merely orienting yourself. So then I started going back in my life to the Field Museum in Chicago, and they used to have them, but they've now discovered they were all wrong. But these diorama kind of three-dimensional models of cavemen and things like that.
Uh-huh.
And I think they've removed a lot of them. But I'm just wondering, since both of you have spent a lot of time in the woods, whether that would be if that was your life in the woods, would that be something you would develop as a survival technique, mindfulness? Would it really be atypical or would it be typical? And then I'm also thinking about one of our Sangha members recently had a car accident, and they described it as not being mindful at that moment. They might have avoided it if they weren't thinking of something else. So I'm still wondering, is it atypical or somehow have we gone into this not mindfulness kind of way of being? I'm just curious about does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, my first thought in that is that nothing's more typical than being here in this moment. That's actually the truth of things. So, very typical.
It's kind of dangerous not to be mindful, not to be aware of like how someone's taking you or, running into things.
Yeah, and so I offered I said this recently. Mindfulness is kind of a thing, right, that we talk about. And for me, I really like the definition of it's paying attention in the present moment on purpose with compassion and curiosity. And so when you're doing that, you tend to be more in the moment, paying attention in the present moment on purpose. So there's an intentionality there, which isn't always present in me, I can say.
We need help to do that, don't we?
Yeah. That's why I was kind of rallying us together, I hope. We have this practice and we endeavor to awaken and be in the moment. And the more we can cultivate that in ourselves and see that in the other, the more we can support each other, because it can be very difficult. Did you have thoughts on that?
Oh,
You said it's about the comment that you made. So
yeah. With respect to my comment, I take it back completely. Thank you for helping me turn on a dime.
Oh, you really do?
And also, in Hakomi, we talk about mindfulness being different than meditation, or the type of mindfulness that's spoken about in meditation, because we're paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally, with the idea that we're setting, a field for an experiment to drop into, and paying attention to what the results of that experiment are. So it's it is a little bit of a way of thinking about it. Certain lens, if you will. Yeah, thank you, Kim.
I see Rosemary has her hand up.
Yeah, thank you so much, John Eric. Yes, I was the one with the accident, and for sure, my attention was where I was going and not where I was. And yeah, it had pretty bad results. As you can see, I'm fine, thank goodness, and so was the other person. But so this morning, I was listening to Locke Kelly and his shift into freedom, and the piece that I was listening to, I think relates, because he was saying that that it's thinking. A lot of times, it's thinking that keeps us out of our awareness of where we are, and the primacy of thinking, and also that our thinking is, takes us into who we think we are. And that can get in the way of awareness, the vast awareness of everything inside and outside, which you so beautifully brought to us this morning. So it kind of fit with what he was talking about in this little piece on awake awareness. And, you know, really being aware of our thinking and how our thinking can get in the way of where we are and being aware of where we are. So thank you so much for this. It was really wonderful.
Thank you, Rosemary. Thank you for your comments. And yes, there is a real difference between awareness and thinking in my mind.
So I really appreciate your, definition and kind of descriptor of wholeness. As like, I really received it as like this tapping into my deeper light, tapping into my deeper essential being and nature and what's under all the other things. And it's interesting because my definition of wholeness has evolved to mean more like welcoming all the things, right? Welcoming all the parts and pieces, welcoming the part that's not mindful, welcoming the part that's not aware, right? And so as you were bringing in your definition of wholeness, I was, realizing, well, that is the piece that does hold all of these things, right? So it's both.
Yes.
And so, just enriches my own relation to that word, I guess, and definition.
Yeah.
So, thanks.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, and I appreciate you saying it that way. We're not pushing anything away. We're not trying to get to a special state or anything. It's really just, it's expanding in the moment to allow for all of it to be here.
Including sometimes the rejection of our life.
All of it.
Yeah.
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 It's all here.
The frustration with it.
Uh-huh.
Why are you pushing me so hard? Why didn't you go away?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hand up.
Oh, you did?
Oh, I just had a question about the primordial competence that you mentioned. Because I will accept the premise that there is such a thing, but there's also uncertainty that feels like is just as primordial to me, like permeates everything just as much maybe. And so how do those sit next to each other in a productive way?
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess again, nothing is excluded, right? So we are here, like kind of as I was presenting, like we're here for a reason, right? We're a part of the earth. We're a part of, we saw this great talk once where the guy was like, we come from rocks. Do you realize everything came from molten lava at some point, like all of this, like we're here. So partly we're here to feel uncertainty and to question who am I in this? Who am I in this separateness, and why do I feel this anxiety, and how do I bridge the gap to becoming and feeling who I am? And then we kind of dance between those two things. And I think that's partly why we're here in samsara, is to figure out what this is all about.
So you can be uncertainly confident.
Yeah.
Confidently uncertain, that's maybe better.
Yeah.
I'm so confident that I'm uncertain.
And that's why I was emphasizing you belong here. Just because you might feel uncertain doesn't mean you're not supposed to be here feeling that. You belong here.
Thank you so much. I really appreciated the reminder of the basic goodness. I was remembering my practice discussion with Peg last week, and And you know, I was telling her, you know, what am I practicing on the mat? And I said, I'm practicing my parts. She's like, oh, oh gosh, it's a lot of work, you know. I'm like, what else do I do? So anyway, the thing that really changed my life, you know, in those 5 minutes was her reminding me that, and it is a lot of work, you know, constantly. I thought that I was infusing them with self energy. Uh, and I was like, oh my goodness, you know, when I was meeting with Peg, she reminded me that they also have Buddha nature. And I've been sitting with that since.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's so much simpler than what I was doing.
Yes.
And so, you know, in meditation today, all my parts illuminated because I was recognizing that in them. And like for the first time. And when, you know, you were guiding us through the exercise, I actually realized I don't want to call them my parts anymore. You know, because they're all Buddha.
That's right.
So thank you.
Thank you. Beings are numberless. We vow to freedom.
We have Bridget.
Okay.
Good morning, and thank you for your guided meditation. That was very touching. Rosemarie added to the chat in response to the person saying when they asked the question about the primordial, that it's a matter of trusting the universe. And Flint has even used the word faith when he has given talks. And so it all evolves around trust. And that's what's so wonderful about having a Sangha and people to connect with, because we can express our trust in both being trustworthy and trustful. So that's what came to mind for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Bridget.
We have Becky.
I'm glad that I was here this morning, even though I considered if I could. And it's unusual for me to forget who I am, like for more than 7 minutes or something, you know. I mean, certainly I do forget sometimes, but I've had a long spate here that is circumstantial things to resolve, as well as the work inside myself. And it's been a really hard journey. I really appreciate, you know, those kinds of times when you feel like somebody brought this because it's what you, of course, it's because it's what all of us need. And so at that moment when I was dead, I wanted to sing a song to myself, sing it to all of us. So, how can I make this? How simple let it be. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. How simple can we make this? How simple let it be. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
I have my attention on, can we stay on Becky for a second? That artwork above you, and I've asked you about this before, and it's like people around a fire, isn't it? Circle,
Yes.
which is also what we're doing here.
Mhm.
Thank you, Becky.